Okay. Good afternoon, you beautiful human beings. Guys, it is Monday. Welcome to a brand new week. Guys, if you're in Premium Plus, the signals have been fire. I must admit, I have never had so much fun trading in the last couple years, right? And, just glory to God. Seasons, things that he puts together. Sometimes we don't understand why or, for what reason certain things are happening, but he's always working something out for our good. And so if you're with us as part of Premium Plus group, guys, it's been an absolute madhouse. The intention was to start Mondays slow. We saw a bunch of opportunities in the markets. We've traded gold, we've traded NASDAQ, we've traded a bunch of different things. It's been absolutely amazing. So if you've been there with us and you've enjoyed the process, just smash that like button, let us know. Drop a comment, would love to know, would love to hear from you. But listen, if you're here for the very first time, you're not in Premium Plus, this is Dollars for Lunch, where we pretty much get up to speed with everything that you need to know this week. And it is a big week, right, guys? It is massive. So just first and foremost, smash the like button. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. What I'm going to do is, for the very first person who ends up subscribing, if you're not subscribed already, I'm going to go ahead and give you a free $20 into your live trading account. Or maybe do that for the first 3 people. So if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and open up that account. Send me your account number, and I will go ahead and transfer $20 to your trading account. I don't know what that is in rands, probably 300-400 rand, whatever that may be, just to make the devil jealous. Okay, other than that, guys, it is a big week this week, right? Monday generally is supposed to be quiet. The trading groups would not seem to think so. We smashed it out the park already this morning, and the day hasn't even started. But we're in for CPI tomorrow. We have PPI coming on Wednesday, and we have the federal interest rate decision that is coming out as well Wednesday evening. Now, this is big, this is massive, right? What we're about to see in the numbers on the fundamental data front is going to set the tone for markets for the balance of June, right? So what we see happen with some of this inflation data, first on the consumer, then on the producer, and then based on what Powell says, that's going to set the tone. Now, I just got to quickly flick onto the news, and just a quick one for those of you that are in multiple of the different groups, right? There is a ton of different groups out there. Guys, I do apologize. I've got to manage a ton of groups, right? Some people think it's just 2 groups. There is a ton of groups that we are in, right? So what I really would like to ask you to do is go down below in this video. There's a link to one Telegram group, right? That's DVD Markets free. Jump into that group. There should only be 3 groups, right? There's free, which is there. You can go, you can study the quantum growth markets course from here. I'll send a signal every once in a while to this particular group. This is a free group. Then we have a discussions group, DVD Markets discussions, where you can ask questions, post things. And then we have Premium Plus. It's only those 3 groups, right? So if you're in a group and you stop seeing messages from me, it means that group is old or expired, or I'm no longer sending messages there, right? So I send sometimes messages on a group, people are like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, we've got other groups. I don't know where you've been, right? So just a quick side note on that one really quickly. But quickly moving into the markets, there's an article that says, Fed's going to wait last minute for the interest rate decision, right? And it's fairly simple why that is. And I've spoken about this already last week, but really it comes down to CPI, right? Consumer price index tomorrow basically breaks down where the inflationary cycle is from a consumer and a spending standpoint, right? That has been the goal of the Federal Reserve, to raise interest rates to curb and slow down the economy to stop rampant inflation. So that CPI reading tomorrow will basically tell us where the Fed's at. Now, again, that number is going to have a huge effect on the markets, right? A huge effect on the dollar. If we see a higher than expected inflationary reading, traditionally, we've seen that boost the currency. So if we see a higher than expected reading, the dollar is going to absolutely love this. It's going to thrive from this. However, the stock market is going to have a bit of a negative effect for 2 reasons. The first reason being, when the dollar raises in value, US 30, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, S&P 500, these indices, stock market shares or currencies sell off because of the stronger dollar. In addition to that, a higher than expected inflationary reading means that the Fed is going to have to come in on Wednesday evening and slam the markets with more than 25 basis points. At the moment, the consensus is that the Federal Reserve will increase the base interest rate by 0.25%, right? 25 basis points. However, if they see inflation is ramping higher, may come in at a 50 basis point or even a 75 basis point hike on Wednesday evening. This is not what the stock markets want to see. So we would immediately see on a higher CPI reading we'll see that the US 30, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, or S&P 500 will sell off quite harshly. Dollar will gain some strength. In the same way, we will also see big effects on gold. So CPI tomorrow is going to be big. It's going to be massive. It's going to be streamed right here live, but only for Premium Plus users. Now, again, if you want to be part of Premium Plus, super simple. Down below, jump into the group, open up your live account, get it funded, and get into Premium Plus. If you have a funded account, it's 999 Rand that gets you 2 months access. If you don't have a funded account, it's 999 Rand that gives you 1 month's access. So go ahead, get that account. It's worthwhile just having your live funded account with a partner broker, and you save and you get that benefit right there. We are going to be trading CPI live. It's going to be big. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive moves. Now, the reason it's such a great event is we have 2 things happening back to back. So we have the CPI release that's going to happen. There's a bunch of data, and I'll go through that in a second. We'll really break it down tomorrow, past data, what's happened, what is likely to happen based on these numbers. But we have CPI, and that's what the retail market will react and say, oh no, this is big numbers, oh, this is great, or whatever the case may be. We'll see that initial reaction based on the numbers. But then we have the New York Stock Exchange that happens an hour later. And that is where we see how Wall Street differs in an opinion base from the retail trading environments, right? So we have these sort of one set of information, but we have massive influxes of information. So Jay just subscribed. Welcome, Jay. Whoever Jay is, you can go ahead and create a account down below. Use the link in the Telegram link. Go and create an account, new live account. Send us that information. I'll go ahead and credit your account with $20. 2 more people left. Whoever has not yet subscribed, you can't unsubscribe and resubscribe, right? Because I can see that. I can just see Fabian's there thinking, what if I unsubscribe? No, Fabian, I know you can't do that, right? So Tuesday CPI is going to be big. Wednesday, we have producer inflationary data. Now, it's not as big of an effect as we generally see, like we see on the consumer side, but it does give us a little bit of an early indicator, right? Because again, if there's inflation on the producer side, it ultimately always gets passed on to the consumer, right? Any knock-on effect cost the producer has ultimately goes down into the value chain, and the consumer at the end of the day still pays for it. So that we receive on Wednesday. Then Wednesday evening, it's one of your favorite events. We're going to be having a trade-a-thon on the dollar. So listen, I don't know if you're going to take off work, you're going to call in sick, you're going to drive over your own foot with your car. Obviously, don't do that, please. But I don't know what you're going to be doing on Wednesday, but Wednesday's going to be nuts. So trade-a-thon in the evening is where we're going to cover Powell's speech, the questions, the actual news announcement, and then we're going to see markets move throughout Wednesday evening all the way into Thursday. So I don't know if this is going to be a 1 hour thing or a 4 hour thing. All I know is I'm going to be here. I've got some targets I want to make on an account for that specific Federal Reserve interest rate discussion or release. And let's see if we can make it. That's what it's all going to be about, right? Outside of that, that is what the markets are looking at this week, right? Outside of that, that is where the huge concern is for where we are going to be. There's some stuff about Tesla, some stuff about between these, different Wall Streets and hedge funds. Everybody's got predictions, right? Goldman says that, the S&P 500 is going to be bullish. MS is saying it's going to be bearish. It doesn't matter. The price action is there and the price action is king. So without further ado, let's just jump into the charts, because there's a few interesting things that I'd like to talk about before we get into actual trading. Now, we've got about 5 minutes left before the New York Stock Exchange opens up, and then we're going to look at a few opportunities and or possibilities. Before we get there, I just want to cover what we did on gold today. Now, at the time we started this recording, I was hoping we could potentially start to get short on gold, but that break had already happened and we already started to fall quite substantially. However, this is where we were this morning. So if you were part of the Premium Plus group, we gave out those buy orders right there at 10 o'clock, exactly like clockwork. We popped out on gold. We ran for about 65 pips topside, ranged a little bit. We caught a little bit of a reversal again. We caught a sell on gold for some profit towards the downside, but there was a little bit of a sharp pullback here, which ended up closing us out. Now, being Monday, I've been a little bit more cautious with some of the stop losses. I didn't want these big stop losses, these 50, 60 pips on gold stop losses. We've kept it tight, we've kept it neat. And that means that every trade we've taken today, we have not lost a single trade or gone into or taken a loss on any trade today. So that was specifically looking at gold. I would have liked to have catched a short here, but this is at the point we just went live. And obviously I can't look at markets and speak with you guys all at the same time. However, I do see an opportunity on US 100. Now I gave out US 100 as well this morning for a buy, and the reason I gave out that US 100 buy was a couple reasons, right? US 100, otherwise known as NASDAQ, we're looking at this diagonal sort of rising channel, if you will. And essentially what happened is we dipped into VWAP, but also at the same time, we also dipped into a previous support / resistance right there, right? So we dipped into that level. Once we dipped into that level, I gave out a buy stop order on the $14,618 on the NASDAQ, right? So we got that order, nice little pop there, nice little run. It ran out for around about 200 pips or so, had a little bit of retracement, then popped off right on the start of the US session. So we should have banked some profit there, moved stop losses to entry, and then she would have closed out. However, and I want us to watch this, for the New York Stock Exchange session, right? Should NASDAQ beat this previous high or break VWAP, that is going to be our pretty much the two levels that we are going to be looking at the start of the New York Stock Exchange, which opens up in 1 minute and 40 seconds, because what that's going to do is going to tell us where Wall Street's position is on a fear basis with regards to the CPI and PPI data that we are going to be getting tomorrow. So if the consensus here is that there's going to be blood in the water, or the CPI is going to be a lot higher than expected or lower than expected, we should see that translate into some of the early moves we get today, right? Again, a lot of these big decisions don't only happen on the day. A lot of big Wall Street hedge funds, liquidity providers, they're putting in positions leading up to that particular announcement, right? Specifically the day before. So what we're looking at right now is we're looking at where are we going to be moving from a topside break or a downside break, and we're going to be focusing on US 100. US 30 has been a little bit sketchy over the last couple of days. Now I have prepared for us, we do already have a US 30 potential limit order, right? Here's this limit order for US 30. You're not going to be able to see it exactly, but in essence, this is what I'm waiting for. And the reason being is I'm literally looking at US 30 pulling down into that 33880 mark, right? Now, the reason I'm looking for that is for two reasons. First thing being is it's a continuation of the topside move. Second thing being is if we come down again, very similar strategy to what we used for US 100 earlier today, but that is going to be the lowest point we can dip into before this bull structure is then broken, right? And then US 30, otherwise known as Dow Jones, is completely broken to the top side, and we're going to start to look for some reversals to the downside. So that's just something worth taking a little bit of note on. US 100, let's give it a little bit of attention. We're seeing the markets open up now, and it does look like US 100 does want to make a attempted push to the top side in line with our positions we already had, pretty much put in place for this morning in terms of those buys. So I'm looking at if we're going to break through that ceiling in terms of that top side level, and then again, should we make a downside move, that is obviously where I'm looking at absolute risk, is where I'm looking at potentially selling off the US 100, right? So if we make a pop through the downside, it's going to be a massive sell-off. Pop through the top side, we're going to start to buy it off quite substantially. Now, US 100 has been fairly stable. Once it breaks a level, right, it generally breaks and runs, right, which is something that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, and as part of the reason we're going to be spending a little bit more time on US 100 as opposed to US 30, right? Now, again, leading up to CPI data release, right, we can see that markets can be a little bit edgy, iffy to want to make a decision, because again, they're also just as much as we are, they're waiting for the data. US 100 looking like it wants to show that pop to the, US 30 looking like it wants to pop to the top side. US 100 is kind of sitting sideways, right? So I'm waiting for US 100 to give us a direction, and that is what I'm going to be focusing here. I'm not going to focus too much on US 30, even though it seems like US 30 has some sort of certainty over where it wants to go directionally, right? So we're just going to leave US 30 to do its thing, allow US 100 to kind of just sideways itself here if it wants to, and then we will look at this. Now, again, another reason why I want US 100 to break this support level before shorting is that is going to be a key diagonal from a selling perspective, right? So if US 100 is able to break through that floor, there's nothing really left that's holding it from a support perspective, right? That is where we bought off of this morning, popped up to the top side. If we break that this afternoon, that is going to mean there's nothing left on US 100's plate to keep it in that area, right? So let's just see here. It looks like it wants to, it's really looking like it wants to attempt to try. But again, that's going to be the important thing about waiting to pull a trigger, right? Specifically when New York Stock Exchange opens out, you want to wait for that first 1 or 2 minutes just to pass by and just reveal that sort of market direction. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in a situation where one candle pushes and you're kind of stuck neither here nor there, right? So let's just quickly give it a look here. US 30 still kind of looking happy to the top side. Let's give it a quick look here. Just waiting for my US 100 to update. Okay, so US 100 hasn't broken through that floor, right? So still looking like it wants to make a bit of a push here. I go on a 1 minute time frame. US 30, the first day that we decide not to deal with US 30 is the day that US 30 decides that's the day it's actually going to act with some sort of integrity. Fabian's saying gold's falling. Yeah, gold's unfortunately fallen already at the start of the show. Quarter past. Again, generally we only look for gold to fall once the New York Stock Exchange opens up. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I would like to see NAS push further high. That is why I just precautionally put in a buy there already. Even though my stop loss is all the way down here, I do have one buy in there already. So for me, I would like to see NAS break out some new highs. But again, I can only add to those volumes, add to those levels once we get a confirmed break of either the 1555 candle mark. And remember, on MetaTrader, it's 1 hour ahead of time. So that is technically going to be 1455's mark. So if we break that, happy to follow on along, add some positions above that. We break the south side, happy. But again, we don't want to get caught in the sideways market, right? So when we have a little bit of a sideways market and you're waiting, I actually saw someone post or send me a post in another group that was saying, you know, half of making money in trading is just waiting, right? And that's certainly the truth, because a lot of the times you're waiting for markets to reach or sort of play out and meet the conditions that you've set in order for a trade to take place, right? That is one of the biggest things here. So US 100 super happy to the top, US 30 super happy to the top side, US 100 in limbo. Let's give our old friend German 30 a quick look and just have a look at what the consensus is here. German 30 does not look phased whatsoever. A little bit sideways, but German 30's kind of revealing more of a sell side move here than anything else. And this could be, see, I don't like those gaps. Whenever there's a recent gap in markets, I don't always like that, because it's a little bit harder to extend this data, or at least make it, you know, you're going to be having some sort of issue like that. It's a little bit touch and go. I don't like it. But in any event, German 30 making that push for those little lows there. If German 30 breaks a German 30, German 40, very similar type of construction, if this starts to break this and US 100 is still low and we get a pullback on US 30, which we're getting there, that may very well indicate some sell side volume on these pairs. Yeah, so personally speaking, I think the way that US 100 is reacting is that it looks like it wants to sell, man. Like, if you look at all these 1 minute time frame candles, we got all these rejections to the top side, and she really looks like she wants to sell. I mean, the big thing is here is whether she can break this floor, because if she can, that's pretty much going to be the trigger So I'm gonna pop in that sell on that floor there, and let's see. We're at that massive support level. Now it's never ideal to sell into support. We want to sell on breakthrough of support, but I've got a fairly tight stop loss here on this little structure, maybe 200 pips or so. So let's give it a quick look. US30 done its pullback, but also looking almost like it wants to break its entry point for the New York Stock Exchange. So if US30 pulls back past its entry point here, and we have a US or German 40, German 30 kind of attempt to break through here, then I'm pretty sure that markets are anticipating that inflation is going to be slightly higher than expected tomorrow. And that would basically be a fierce sell-off this afternoon. Now, the reason why this is beneficial to catch the sell-off is if the sell-off starts to materialize, right? If we start to get this break in structure, there is not really much holding up indices or instruments this afternoon in light of any additional news or information, right? So if this level breaks, so I'm really happy. I'm not too stressed about taking one or two. Remember, I'm not taking all of my positions until I've got some sort of break. I'll put in a feeler trade. And a lot of people ask this and say, why do I, pop in a trade here? I'll pop in a trade. I'll always have a feeler trade in place, right? If I feel like markets are going to break, I'll pop in where my feelings are at, and then I'll add those positions once I get a break, right? So just for anybody who has that question in mind, that's kind of how I operate. But I'm happy to pop in some feelers here, maybe get it right or wrong once or twice, no issues, until we're in a position that we have some sort of decent break of structure, right? Because once we get a break in structure, that is going to be the ultimate direction of the market, regardless of what happens in between here. And as we've seen in the past, that can potentially go all the way up to 4 o'clock. So we might even be in a position we need to see what happens at 4 o'clock, whether we get some sort of reversal here. But it seems markets are fairly sideways in terms of, have a look at US30, right? Complete pullback, complete push. And that worries me because that might mean we could go long on NASDAQ. So the only market I don't like to trade, or I don't want to be a part of, is a sideways market, right? A market that is indecisive, non-directional, just massive moves for no reason, right? And that we're seeing on pretty much US30. US30 did a 600-700 pip move topside, a 600-700 pip move downside, another 850 topside, and that might, I don't know if that will compel US 100 to follow, but yeah, just an absolute mess. Is anybody in a position here? Yeah, every sort of bone in my body is telling me it needs to be a sell. That's what my fibers are telling me. And I'm wondering if Cohen LaRue is saying in on, let's see, US30. I'm assuming, Cohen, you're in a buy on US30, hey? Calvin is saying a sell on me. Megan's saying a sell on NAS. Yeah, I'm also in a sell on NAS. Cohen's in long on US30. Okay, that's great. So you should be smiling then, Cohen. It's a nice little pop there. It's a little bit of a tough one. So look, the strength from gold, and this is where we've definitely seen a little bit of a disconnect previously, where the dollar will have that direct relation to a strong dollar. There's a sell-off on commodities, a sell-off in indices, and that's really showing the split in terms of how important or how big Wall Street's concerns are with the strength of the dollar, right? And how different those concerns are with just general dollar issues across the board. So let me quickly I'm gonna do a super quick intermission. I just really want to change or just reset camera batteries really quickly. We could probably do this in, I think, about 10 seconds. So give me 10 seconds and I'll be back with you guys. we did it. There we go. 10 seconds. It is in, but obviously wrong screen. So there we go. Let's change it up. Okay. Someone's saying markets are too choppy for me. Even me, I don't like this, specifically with what we've had today. We've had such good trading. We've had such a good trading day in Premium Plus. Every trade we've taken just rocked straight into profits. We haven't had any sideways market. So to see it this afternoon is a little bit disheartening. Hey, listen, that's what that's what trading is all about. We've had a really good morning, so thank goodness. Even if we don't have a decision here this afternoon, we've really had a really good Monday regardless of what plays out this afternoon. And I think for me, it's going to be super simple, right? Sometimes one of the hardest things to do is, and specifically, I think one of the most difficult things about my position in sort of having some sort of leadership role within our trading community is that feeling you have to trade something because people showed up, right? And that's just simply not true. And it's sometimes pressure that I put on myself, and no one's asked me to do that, is that just because, you know, it's New York Stock Exchange doesn't mean we have to trade something, right? And that is something we're going to stick to a lot more often, that if conditions aren't met, we are generally just going to stick to it needs to meet X, Y, and Z for us to be able to take this trade, right? US 100 is super sideways. I haven't seen, you know, candles like this in quite a long time, and that's just the fear in the market right now, right? Trying to make sense of what could happen with this inflationary data. I'm seeing, even if I just read these candles for what they are, okay, I'm seeing a lot of bears in this space. Just in terms of these rejections to the top side, I'm seeing a lot of attention's being placed into trying to get long on US 100. Nice, decent rejections. And remember, a buyer's job is to make higher lows, right? A seller's job is to make lower highs. So in a market where you start to see a little bit of these lower highs, it generally starts to indicate, okay, is there more buyers or sellers in this particular place? And I know it's hard when you've got these, you know, these wicks and candles, and also, you know, not all buyers, not all sellers are equal, right? So a lot of the times when we talk about, you know, just pure buying and selling, if you consider this, right, and I'll do this thing you can kind of picture in your mind. If you see candles as price action, right, you see, you know, let's say a big wick to the top side, a big pin bar to the top side, and prices pull back down, that would generally indicate in that moment in time there was more sellers than buyers. Fine, no problem. The problem with candlesticks and what they don't tell us is the quality of buyers and sellers at that point in time and how resilient they are, right? And that is what you've got to look at in terms of price formation over time, right? And what you'll see there is when you see these constant rejections, how long do they get rejected for until they turn around? Okay, that's the big thing, and that's what candles can't tell us, is how resilient are these sellers, how resilient are these buyers, because ultimately that's what plays out, right? You've got buyers and sellers pretty much getting together and fighting each other out to see who wins. That's what you get. Okay, Kalani's saying he's a little bit late today. Kalani, you are, if there's a day to be late, today is the day to be late, right? Just purely because of the fact that, you know, we have a very sideways market for US 100. US 30, oh my goodness, ow. So I hope whoever was in US 30 buys got out of those buys, because US 30 just collapsed once again, right? Pulling back another 1,000 pips. Yo, who was in that buy there? Someone was very Cohen saying, Cohen, I hope you got out of those US 30s. Yeah, so that's the problem with the sideways market, guys. It's, you know, it's not still holding US 30 for a buy. Yo. No, you see, like this sideways stuff. Where did you buy, Cohen? Okay, if Cohen bought all the way down here or days ago, then it's not an issue. Kerwin, I hope your strategy has risk management. Like, if it doesn't have risk management, there's a problem. I don't mind what the strategy is, just as long as there's risk management. That's all. That's the only thing. Okay, beautiful stuff. Okay, so, I mean, we need to see what happens, what plays out here, right? Let's just see. Rico is saying secured 1,000 pips. Beautiful. Nice stuff. Rico obviously just caught the pop up and just closed it out. Unfortunately, when it is this choppy, it's even hard to say, you know, right, let's just say we get this break. Let's say it breaks top or downside, whatever the case may be. It's even then hard to say when it's this choppy, okay, this is the break, let's take it, because it literally could just be a bull trap, grabs people's orders for a buy and then completely retraces, as we're seeing with US30. So I'm not even sure that even in a ranging market, break to top side or downside is even good. I'll more than likely, if I tell you what my thinking is going to be, it'll probably be the following. I'll see how this plays out. 4 o'clock. So a lot of people asked about, you know, 4 o'clock and what is the reversal strategy. Now, because this is a free environment, I will be speaking about that for those of you who are in tomorrow's session before CPI, because we're going to need that to have a look at that 4 o'clock. So we've got a couple things. We've got CPI coming out, New York Stock Exchange coming out, and then we have a potential for reversal at 4 o'clock. So I explain what that is, what we look for, and what constitutes a reversal, what signs come into play before we see a 4 o'clock reversal, which is something we've used very successfully over the years. Not always at 4 o'clock, it tends to change depending on DST and where a country is in terms of daylight savings. I'll explain that quite, there we go. Oh, so this is asking a strategy about reducing a position. Very cool. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so guys, if you have MetaTrader, right? Let's say using your desktop, whatever it may be, right? So have a look here, right? I've got my, if you guys can see this trade over here, I've got a US 100 sell 5 lot position here down below. Okay. Now, when I say reduce your position, what I mean is reduce how big this position is. Now, if you double click on this trade, right, you'll see what will happen is it allow us to do a couple things, either multiply the position, etc. But what we want to do here is we want to change this to market execution, right? You'll see here. And then it's showing me my 5 lot position and what I've got going on. I can close out, I'm going to close out 0.10 as an example, right? Now remember, it's a 5 lot trade. You can see it there. So if I press close, my trade size will change from 5 lots to 4.9 lots because I closed out 0.10. Okay. Are we on the same page? You can do the same thing on your phone. So instead of having, you know, I laugh, sometimes I see these guys trading, these Instagram traders. If you're an Instagram trader, no hard feelings. But anyway, I just want to talk about this because I find it quite funny, right? You see these, and tell me if you guys have noticed this, right? You'll see an Instagram trader that's placing like 5 lots, 10 lots, 100 lots, whatever. But there'll be like 50, 100 of these things. They call it a barcode, right? I've never heard of something so stupid all my life. There'll be like 1,000 of these things. No stop loss, no take profit, just these orders. And I think to myself, how insane would that be if you've got to edit TPs or close positions? Just open, instead of opening like 10 lot positions, open 100 lot position and manage the risk. When it moves down there, close 10 lots. When it moves down there, close 20 lots. When it moves over there, close 50 lots. You got one trade to manage, so on. But anyway, I don't know, that's people's preference, I suppose. The public seems to love it. People seem to lose their minds. They see these traders doing all these trades. Listen, I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, right? With all their barcodes. And you'll see them out in Santon, like sitting with other people, saying, yo, show them the barcode, show them the barcode. They'll just open up. Like, it's insane. You're paying swaps, you're paying fees, you're paying spread, you're paying all these commissions for all these different positions. Every time you open and close them, you're losing money. Anyways, okay, let's just leave that as it is, right? It is what it is. Your account size will take account some instruments won't allow certain lot size depending on your account size. Yeah, absolutely. Ricochet's sake. It's like buying something for $100 with 100 1 Rand coins. Exactly. Or actually more like 50-cent coins, right? Come in with a backpack full of coins and just drop it on the counter, break the counter, call all your friends, show them, bah, break the counter, the glass breaks. Be like, yeah, here's my 100 Rand. I don't know. Listen, it might work for some people. I don't know. It cracks me up. I love it. Imagine closing all those positions on your phone, right? You have to have software to like close all positions in profit, or close all positions in loss. You just sit there swiping, bah, 1, bah, 2, bah, 3. I don't know. Okay, beautiful people. Listen, I don't know what this market is doing, right? We've traded like absolute machines today. Monday, if you're in Premium Plus, it's been great. I am exhausted, and I have the liberty of saying, and listen, when I don't know what's going on, I'll tell you guys I don't know what's going on. But I know what's going on. I know what's going on because we're in profit, right? When I don't know what's going on, I'm man enough to say markets are sideways, and I can't tell you why. Well, I suspect I know why. Yeah, I wish we could have caught gold on the start of the show, and I actually had an alert. I heard it going off. I end up dropping or turning the volume off on my speakers before I go live so that I don't get bothered, and I ended up missing that. So I apologize. Yeah, if you guys, those of you who are in Premium Plus will understand what Premium Plus is about. If you're not in Premium Plus, all you're seeing is messages about close this now, let's go, but you don't see what's happening, and it's hard to explain. So Fabian's explaining there. Appreciate you. Thanks, Fabian. Good stuff. Let's see if we get the break, right? This is what it's all about, is getting that break. If we can get this break below VWAP, I think this will signal kind of where we need to be for the trading day, right? That break below VWAP will also signal basically Friday's high on US 100. Okay, and it's a huge level. There's a ton happening on that level. There's a lot happening, right? There's a lot happening. If this thing breaks topside, I'm actually busy doing some thinking about this now while there's a bit of peace and quiet. If this thing breaks topside, I'm actually not sure I'm going to chase US 100 for a topside move, right? And let's just think about this together. And you guys tell me if I'm being a moron or not, right? How often has CPI ever come down in a decent amount, right? Sort of inflation, right? If we go into the past, and again, the bigger item for tomorrow is going to be core CPI and CPI. Now, I'll explain tomorrow in a bit more detail. Basically, core CPI just removes the super volatile stuff like food and energy, right? Where CPI is just general, normal. Okay. Now, in most of these cases, right, if we have a look at April, May, right, CPI came in just under expectation, but yet beat the pants off the dollar on those movements, right? And I can't tell if this is because economists are not forecasting enough or as little, but we've received 2 lower than expected readings, right? And there's an expectation of 4.1, right? So now just bear with me, just listen to my thinking here, right? There was a previous, if we just have a look at March, there was a CPI forecast of 6% down from 6.4. We got that. No issues, no qualms, right? From 6%, they forecast a 5.2%. Okay. Now, a big jump, 0.5, 0.8% reduction. Okay. But we came a full percent, right? 6 to 5. Great, no issues. Then from 5, they expected to remain flat at 5. They got in a 4.9, which is great. They further expecting inflation to have dropped, or consumer price index to have dropped to the 4.1. And I think this is going to be an overreach, an overextension of what they're attempting to do here, right? Now, an overreach just means they're expecting 4.1, which is a lot lower than what I think is achievable, realistically going to happen. So I think they're going to come out with a slightly higher number, right? A slightly higher number means a good dollar, right? So if they get a 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, or God forbid a 5 point something, the dollar is going to absolutely dominate. And that will mean that not only will US 100, US 30 fall substantially, but the Fed has then got a greater task to come and nail down the rest of the markets, right? The Fed is going to come in and basically pin US 30, NASDAQ, as well as S&P 500 to the wall with a high inflation rate. So the likelihood of inflation being beaten at 4.1%, right? Inflation would have to come in at literally 4.1 or lower for the US 100 and for US 30 to rally. However, should it do that, my friends, my family, should we get a 4 or 3.9 or whatever the case may be, you can best believe I'm going to sell my grandmother and buy US 30, US 100. Actually, I don't have any grandmothers left. I'll sell somebody else's grandmother, right? And we will buy US 100, US 30, should inflation come out under that 4% number, right? So yeah, until, you know, that's why I don't feel comfortable buying out US 100, US 30. Even if it breaks, I might be one of those guys that just watch it break and say, no issues, no problem. Because I'm weighing up all the fundamentals. I'm weighing up what's the possibility that US will beat the number that they've already got given. That is really a pretty extreme number, right? That is what I'm busy weighing out. So yes, there has been banking crises. Yes, there has been a bunch of extra things that should have slowed down the US economy. But guys, have a look at non-farm payrolls, right? Unemployment went up, yes, but there's extra 300,000 jobs created in the US from middle of where? From how? And where did they get those numbers from? So that's the second part of the equation is, do we even trust the numbers, right? Because who's putting these numbers together and for whose benefit, right? That's the other thing. So what I can tell you is we are in for a crazy ride tomorrow and Wednesday. Today, honestly speaking, I didn't think we would be trading much. I got into the studio. The beautiful Miss Marsha Bart made sure I had food, water, medication, whatever I needed. I was sorted out, and I just had a whale of a time trading with you guys. And again, some of the best trading times I've had in the past couple of years, being in tune with the market, sending out the trades, communicating with you guys directly. It's been an absolute blast. For this New York Stock Exchange session, I actually don't feel too bad if I don't have a position. If it does break to the downside and just start panic selling, I'm happy with that. If it breaks to the top side and if it starts buying, I'm also happy with not even participating there. If it breaks for a sell, I'm in a sell. So I'll be happy about that, obviously. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm saying sold all 12 of yours. And how many grandmothers do you have? That is nuts. Lot Boomer saying, I can relate. I was one of those traders until I discovered your channel and it was a game changer for me. Wow. Lots. Was that about the barcode trading? I actually can't remember what I was saying. Guys, listen, everybody goes through stuff. Everybody goes through a season of learning. I did some stupid things in the past that I thought, okay, this is what trading was. And I had to learn. And I had to, so when I say things, I don't mean to offend anybody who's maybe doing it, has done it. I'm just sharing. And if I think it's funny, laugh with me. I don't mean to offend anybody, but if it's part of your journey and you've learned from it, this is great. And our journey is to grow as traders. That's what it's about. Okay, so 4 o'clock's coming in and I'm super, super interested. Do we get a break here at 4 o'clock or don't we? Right? Do we get a break at 4 to the downside or do we get a push? USD does want to break the highs. Alverna, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you. Like me and you, but the problem is the charts are doing something different. No, listen, guys, blowing accounts and playing games with these barcodes and just full on entering, it happens. USD looks, so USD is doing kind of what I would expect it to do now at 4 o'clock. US 100 is not. Let's see. Let's see. Right. Oh, it's asking, is gold a buy? Let's give it a look quickly. Oh, gold might have reversed for a buy. I didn't even see that. Let's double check. I know it's a sad truth. I know, and don't take this the wrong way. I know what I'm going to say now. A lot of people are going to message me, and a few people are going to be like, "What is this? And why did he say this?" And blah blah blah. But listen to what I'm saying, right? To blow an account is to mature in things of trading, right? Not everybody has to blow an account to take things to the next level, but most people do need to blow an account to go, oh wait, this is serious, I need to pay attention, I can't just be doing crazy things, right? So it's part of the journey. If you've smashed an account or 20, that's normal, right? I don't even know how many accounts I've popped in my life. Must be in excess of 100. Well, in excess of 100, right? Because you'll be trading, you'll take markets for granted, you'll pop a trade in, you'll leave your phone on the table, you'll be distracted, and then what happens? Markets will humble you. If you don't use risk management, don't follow the process, or you revenge trade, I'm telling you, markets will just basically take that account to zero, and it will reset, it'll humble you, and you'll have to then choose. Do you pack your bags and do you run away and call it a scam? Or do you recenter and be honest with yourself that you were not bringing your A game, you were bringing 10% of you, 5% of you, 2% of you. And if you can have that realization that you know you can do it, but you weren't bringing your A game, then you get back on that horse and you ride that thing until you're lacking, until you mess up somewhere else down the line, right? And it'll happen from time to time. You just want to get better at not allowing that to happen, right? Some of the most experienced people I know, every once in a while will have that moment where they're like, yo, I wasn't paying attention, I did this, and before I knew it, this was the case. Or especially, it gets quite tricky when you're trying to hedge, right? When you try to hedge a position and go, right, well, I'm doing this now, and I'm gonna reverse trade it and just hope it goes my way. Hedging can go also very, very wrong because you're using additional margin, and that's a bit different, but it's also just the same, things getting messed up, and it is what it is. I don't know. I just want to see US 100 break. If US 100 break, I can bring out Trump. I can go have some dinner. I can cuddle that beautiful woman behind me, and I can start to relax for the day, right? It's been a crazy Monday. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. And there we go. We're starting to get the break. So I don't know if you guys are in on the sell with me, but I'm pretty much not screwing around. I'm putting my stop loss. I want to put my stop loss at entry. It might close me out. But I'm pretty much gonna do that, and I'm gonna do the slightly spineless thing, even though I didn't call it as a sell, and I think I've mentioned I would like it to sell. I'm gonna do the spineless thing. I'm gonna call Trump out and be like, that's a win, guys, we're good to go, great trading today. Oh gosh, I've been up for way too long, I need sleep. Okay guys, so listen, I'm not saying this pop to the downside is be all and end all, but you've seen how many times it's struggled. That's where we bought off this morning, right? So it's a definite support area. Depending where you've got in your sell, that's going to pretty much determine how much risk you can afford to take here. I also don't put it past US 100 at all to pretty much retrace and then, carry on moving down. So this is going to be one of those things, whether you want to just be in it this afternoon, but I can tell you now, there's nothing wrong with just sitting this one out, right? There is nothing wrong. Actually, there is a lot of wisdom in just sitting this one out, right? This may continue to fall. This may be the biggest sell in US history, but there's nothing wrong with missing it out, because the reality is there's always gonna be another day. There's always gonna be another time to trade, provided you don't decimate your accounts. When you look after your accounts, there'll always be another day to trade, and there's nothing wrong with that. And learning that, having peace with that, is part of maturing as a trader, right? So did I predict a sell? No. Did I originally think it was probably going to be a buy? Yes, because I called out a buy today and we earned quite a bit of profit. Was it sideways and undefined? Yes. Am I just just by chance holding a sell that is in sight for a profit that may close out at entry? Of course. So right? We've had a really good day outside of this one particular event, and I'm pretty happy to just call it as that. I'm not even going to move the stop loss. I'm just going to leave it to let it do its thing. And if it wants to continue falling, super happy with that. If it wants to close out and move sideways, super happy with that too. But it does seem like the 4 o'clock time is right there, and it did definitely signal that little bit of a reversal. We should see the detail a little bit closer on the data. Just looking at gold, because I know there's a couple of people asked about gold. I don't want to close up before speaking about this. So is gold a reversal? So two things. First thing, just off the bat, we just need to also understand, look at where gold is trending, right? Gold started moving and basically broke just before the start of the show, right there. Let's just see here. There was the start of the show. We went live right there. Gold broke VWAP. So that is the structure of gold. Gold did an overextension, right, at 10 minutes to 4 o'clock. Is that right? Yeah. So gold overextended 10 minutes to 4 and is attempting to come back into structure, right? If gold comes back in here, this is not a buy, right? It just simply means that gold will continue along its normal route. However, an overextension basically is a sign that it's basically like a bear trap. It's grabbing everybody's attention. Oh wait, look at this movement, and I want to get in with it. So this bear trap is generally a sign that says we could see some reversal. However, for me, and what I would do to look out for a gold position and to be able to take it, whatever the case may be, for me, I would need gold to not only break this level, but break it with that structure, come back for a retest, and then I would be conscious of the fact that it's very, very likely gold will return to VWAP, which will at that time probably be somewhere in this area, and then depending how it reacts to VWAP will determine if this is going to be a proper buy breakthrough or just a retest of VWAP, because remember, that's what VWAP is, right? It's basically volume weighted with momentum and volatility that basically determines where price will generally come back to before it continues. So that's what VWAP is for. So until that is broken there, I wouldn't buy it. And if that is then broken again, I would then buy it there. So those would be my conditions for a buy. But if as a sell, again, as the show started, it started running away. It's very rare you'll see me chase a sell unless I was preparing to sell it. So that's just a personal preference. You might be able to see it and pull the trigger on it. For me, it needs a little bit more than that to be able to justify. Looking at US 100, we got that nice big move there. Busy retracing, and this tells us that markets are uncertain. Even with that bit of a pop to the downside, you're going to see a little bit of a consolidation like this, and this is generally a good sign. It generally means a rising consolidatory move here, means it's the next leg for an impulse, but you don't like to see it so soon after a bit of a pop, right? We just had a pop and now it's starting to correct. So you want this correction to end before this floor we get here, right? Activate it. Anyway, so we basically want it to end prior to this floor. There we go. There. So it looks like it is, we just don't want it to basically go above this floor. So if you're in a US 100 sell position, 14,602, basically going to be technical resistance. Anything above that, then the trade to the downside is dead, and it may just start fat to range sideways as it looks for some sort of, traction in the markets. But that's generally what we see after a market, but we want to see some sort of push. Okay. Yeah, outside of that, guys, I'm pretty much going to hold the sell. I would really love to look at this in a couple of hours and then see NASDAQ going to where it can go, which is substantially lower than current price. I mean, again, if NASDAQ breaks structure, we could see, substantial moves downside, especially there's a bit of fear and panic, right? I mean, imagine going down to the 8th, which was that Thursday? Yeah, I mean, imagine NASDAQ goes down to the 8th. That is a good 3,300 pips downside. So not saying it'll all happen in one move, but I think that is ideal looking at where markets are. Now, the only benefit of being in some sort of sell prior to all of this going down would be the fact that if we get a missed reading tomorrow, right, meaning the US fails to beat inflation, so they basically go above inflation, that would support extended sells to the downside. As we can see here on NASDAQ, that's materializing. So I'll bring out Trump one last time. Again, this wasn't something I called out, wasn't a signal by any means or stretch of the imagination. It just happened to play out that way. Other than that, our signals from today have been absolute fire. So if you've been part of Premium Plus group, I'll just go ahead and share with you guys, because a lot of people wonder, what is it like in Premium Plus? What do we send? Is it just, is it, I say maybe buy now, maybe sell now? And this is all today, right? Just to give you guys a little bit of an indication of what happened. So first signal for the week, we bought gold. We bought gold at 927, right? And I said exactly at what time the move will happen at 10 o'clock. I shared that with a few other people with an actual screenshot of the price action that we could see happening, right? That's where we're on gold. Gold popped out and absolutely just ran, did some crazy things. There's our gold position. Nice, beautiful move there. And then we ended up taking, I think it was US 100. There we go. A buy stop at that 14,651 level, right? Which is again where I was speaking about. 14,651 is right there. So there's our NAS buy stop, 14,651. So as it popped out there, market started moving and it moved beautifully into profit very, very quickly. Outside of that NAS position, we then looked at a potential reversal on gold, right? So we had a sell stop on gold, and that was basically catching the reversal of the buy we caught this morning. So we caught a massive buy, reversal started, which is technically the reversal that's still currently happening. But I did include a message here that we are going to be using a tiny stop loss, right, on that trade. We're not going to have a big stop loss whatsoever. So anyway, gold pressed down beautifully, started that movement. Nice, beautiful sell off there. And yeah, everybody should have basically closed out in profits. NASDAQ continued to move, continued to keep NASDAQ pretty much all the way up to this session. So again, really great trades. We have not lost a trade. We haven't lost a position, which is absolutely powerful. But it's not always going to be like that, right? We are going to have difficult days. That is what it's all about, but it is only Monday at the end of the day, right? Mondays, we generally don't expect to be doing huge things, but we did have a fairly good Monday. Outside of that, markets are going to continue to be sideways. You wouldn't be counted out in any way bad for giving this afternoon a skip. Tomorrow is where the real playing happens, right? So again, if you're part of Premium Plus, I will be sitting out early in the morning. I think we're going to start to see some good market moves at 8 as we get into that London session. And then moving into the CPI, what is my goal? What I want to do as a trader? So first and foremost, prior to CPI, I want to be in a position that I believe is going to be the highest likelihood of what happens on the CPI. So if I believe the CPI will cause a sell-off, I want to try get in a sell prior to that CPI data release, right? That's my job. That's what I want to try and do. So I'm going to try and get us in those positions prior to the data coming out, and then see how we can benefit there and after. So until I see you guys tomorrow, part of Premium Plus, that is pretty much where we're going to wrap it up today, guys. For all support and for all of you who've done absolutely amazing things in the markets this week, super proud of every single one of you. And until I see you guys tomorrow in the shows, in the signals, have yourselves an amazing day as always. Be safe, trade safe, and remember, risk management is almost everything in this game. And until I see you guys tomorrow, have an amazing evening. Bye.